Once upon a time, in a quiet green meadow, far from the noise of the world, there lived a gentle mother sheep with her 3 little lambs. Their house was a cozy wooden cottage surrounded by colorful flowers, tall trees, and butterflies dancing in the air. Every day, the lambs played happily outside while their mother took care of them with love and care. But one morning the mother had to go to the market to get food for her little ones. So she kissed them goodbye and with a basket in hand, she walked into the woods, disappearing down the narrow path. As soon as the mother sheep left, a cunning red fox who had been hiding behind the trees watching them pounced out. His eyes gleamed with hunger. He licked his lips and crept closer. 3 little lambs, he thought. This will be a delicious meal. Then he went up to the door and knocked softly. Little lambs, let me in. It's cold outside and I want to play with my dear little friends. But the lambs knew that their mother's footsteps were soft and this was not her. Also, they could hear the wind blowing through the trees and there was no need to ask to play since it was summer. So one of the lambs said, "We know that you are not our mother. Go away, bad fox, or we will call the police." The sly fox was frustrated. Those little lambs were smarter than he thought. He wanted to think of another plan. So first, the fox ran to a nearby stream, took a big drink and then shook himself to get the water off his fur. Then he dipped his paws in white flour to cover them and went back. Now he would try again. This time he would pretend to be the baker who delivered bread to their house every week. So he put on his friend's clothes, which were hanging on a bush nearby, and put some flour on his paws. Then he went up to the door and knocked again. Little lambs, open the door for me. I have fresh bread for you and it will be a treat for tea." The lambs looked at each other. They didn't see the baker often, but they remembered his face and his rough paws covered with flour. They also heard the sound of wind chimes from his hat whenever he walked. But the fox had taken a trick from the hatter and had put some flour on his paws, so he couldn't hear the chimes. The lambs watched carefully through a crack in the door and noticed something. The shadow outside was taller than the baker and his paws looked more like those of a fox than a human. Frustrated, the fox ran off again and came up with a new plan. On the way, he met a bluebird who was singing a sweet song and asked her for help. He promised her a piece of cake if she could do what he asked. The bluebird agreed without asking any questions. The fox went back home and washed his paws and face with water and then used the flour to make himself a mess. Finally, he dipped his paws in honey to make them look sticky like a human's hands. He put on his clothes again and went up to the door. Before he knocked, he licked his lips and closed one eye. Little lambs, can I come in? I have a gift for you from the market and I want to show it to your face." The lambs were suspicious. Their mother always knocked twice when she came, but this guy only knocked once. Also, they could hear the sound of running water from inside the house. Either this fox was very thirsty or he was trying to cover up the sound of flowing water from outside. But the lambs needed to know for sure. So one of them said, "Wait a minute. We're going to look through the peephole now." The fox panicked. The lambs were too smart for him. There was still one chance. He ran to his hole, changed his clothes and made his face and paws dirty. Then he went back to the house and waited. A few minutes later, the lambs opened the door and asked, "Who's there?" The fox replied in his best fake voice, "It's just me, your friend. I was playing outside and got dirty. Can I come in and wash myself? I promise I won't hurt you." The lambs felt sorry for him. "Of course you can come in. Let's go in." But the fox never expected what happened next. The lambs took him to the big pot filled with cold water and said, "First you should wash your paws." As soon as the fox dipped his paws in the water, the lambs closed the pot with a lid. "What? Why? Help me!" cried the fox. But the lambs were already dragging him toward the door. "We are going to take you to the river to clean yourself." The fox struggled to free himself from their grasp, but the lambs were stronger than he thought. They pulled him all the way to the river, but the slippery banks made him lose his balance and fall in the water. At that moment, the fox realized he had been tricked. The water was cold and he was all alone. The lambs had run away, and now he was too wet to do anything. So he sneezed and ran back to his hole, defeated. From that day on, the cunning fox never dared to come near their house again. And the 3 little lambs lived happily and safely with their mother, playing in the sunshine and chasing butterflies under the blue sky.